Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, we're from Group 6. By this change, we would like to talk about phonetic transcription. There are three materials that we would like to explain, such as what is phonetic transcription, IPA symbols, and types of phonetic transcription, such as RP and GA.
Welcome to our presentation. These are the name and the student number of our members. Our member includes Dhodik Prasetyo, Mohammad Rizky Putra Perdana, Arik Adit Syahputra, Aldiansyah Arthanan, and Mohammad Fikri Zulfikar. Phonetic transcription. What is phonetic transcription? Phonetic transcription is the use of phonetic symbols to represent speech sounds. Ideally, each sound in a spoken utterance is represented by a written phonetic symbol, so as to furnish a record sufficient to render possible the accurate reconstruction of the utterance of visual representation of the speech sound or telephone using symbols. The most common types of phonetic transcription use a phonetic alphabet, such as the International Phonetic Alphabet. Phonetic transcription is usually given in brackets, like this example of phonetic transcription from the words home and come. In a dictionary, it looks like this. As we can see, the yellow colored words is a phonetic transcription from the word's image. Phonetic transcription are usually written in International Phonetic Alphabet, in which each English sound has its own symbol. For example, the International Phonetic Alphabet based phonetic transcription of the word home and the word come. Note that in spelling, these words are similar. They both end in om, but their phonetic transcription are different because they are pronounced differently.
IPA symbols mean. The International Phonetic Alphabet is an alphabetic system of phonetic notation based primarily on the Latin script. It was devised by the International Phonetic Association in the late 19th century as a standardized representation of the sound of spoken language. The IPA is designed to represent the qualities of speech that are part of lexical and to a limited extent prosodic sounds in other languages, phones, phonemes, intonation, and the separation of words and syllables. IPA IPA symbols are composed of one or more elements of two basic types, letters and diacritics. For example, the sound of the English letter T might be transcribed in IPA with a single letter T or with a letter plus diacritic T, depending on how precise one wishes to be. Not one. Slash are used to signal phonemic transcription. Thus, T is less specific than and could refer to either th or t depending on the context and language. Look at these examples. Vowels. The IPA vowel symbols are typically more difficult than consonants for speakers of English to learn, since they seldom represent the sounds that the corresponding English letters usually do. Phonetic alphabet reference. The IPA column contains the symbol in the International Phonetic Alphabet, as used in phonemic transcription in modern English dictionaries. vowels. A. Cup. Luck. A. Arm. Father. A. Cat. Black. Away. Cinema. A. Mat. Bed. Air. Turn. Learn. E. Hit. Sitting. E. See. Heat. O. Hot. Rock. O. Call. For. U. Put. Coat. O. Blue. Food. I. 5. I. O. No. Out. O. Go. Home. Air. Where. Are. A. Say. Eight. Ear. Near. Here. Oi. Boy. Join. Or. Poor. Tourist. And then consonant. B. Bed. Lab. D. Did. Lady. F. Fine. If. G. Give. Flag. H. Ho. Hello. Y. Yes. Yellow. K. Cat. Bag. L. Leg. Little. Man. Lemon. No. 10. Sing. Finger. P. Pet. Map. R. Red. Try. S. Sun. Miss. S. See. Crash. T. Tea. Getting. Ch. Check. Court. D. Thing. Boot. D. This. Mother. F. Voice. 5. W. Wet. Window. Z. Zoo. Lazy. Z. Pleasure. Vision. J. Just. Large. Consonants. Many IPA symbols represent the same sound that the corresponding English letter do. P, B, M, F, F, T, D, L, W. But even for this you have to be careful. Other symbols are a bit harder.
Next, we have the example of special symbols. These two special symbols written in IPA and ASCII. The first symbol is placed before the stressed syllable in a word. For example, the noun contract is pronounced contract, and the verb to contract is pronounced contract. The second symbols are K means core in American English, but in British English they said it core. And the third example, I. I means I or something in between. For examples, very, very, ability, ability, previous, previous. And the fourth symbols, EI, shows that the consonant I is pronounced as a syllable. This means that there is a short vowel shorter than E sound before the consonants. For example, little, little, uncle, uncle. And the last symbols, ant. Ant shows that the consonant N is pronounced as a syllable. For example, written, written, listen, listen. Next, we have the sounds of English and the International Phonetic Alphabet. Almost all dictionaries use the E symbols for the vowel in bed. But the problem with this convention is that E in the IPA does not stand for the vowel in bed. It stands for a different vowel that is heard. For example, in the German word Ciel, the proper symbol for the bed vowel is E, but do not confuse with A. The same goes for AA and A. Second, the AR and ER, the R is not pronounced in BRE unless the sound comes before a vowel, as in answering it and answer it. In AME, the R is always pronounced, and the sounds are sometimes written as ear and air. Third, in AME, A and O are one vowel, so calm and coat have the same vowel, but in American transcription, hot is written as hot. The fourth, about 40% of Americans pronounce AC the same ways as A, so that cock and cot have the same vowel. Next, in American transition, C is often written as A, but I'm sorry, I mean it is A and O. For example, law, law, unless it is followed by R, in which case it remains as A. The sixth, in British transcription, O is usually presented as O. For some BRE speakers, O is more appropriate. They use a rounded vowel. But for the others, the proper symbols for O is for American speakers. O is usually more accurate. And then in ER, IR, and UR, the R is not pronounced in BRE unless the sound comes before a vowel, as in Tiras, Tiran. In AME, the R is always pronounced, and the sounds are often written as ear, ir, ur. 8. All dictionaries use the R symbol for the first sound in red. The problem with this convention is that R in the IPA does not stand for the British or American R. It stands for the heart. R is that is heard, for example, in Spanish word re or Italian vero, the proper symbol for the red consonant is A. The reason R is used instead is that it is easier to type and read. And the last, in American English, T is often pronounced as a flap T, which sounds like D, or more accurately, like the quick, hard or hurt, for example. In the Spanish word paro, for example, later, letter. Some dictionaries use the T symbol for the flap T.
Let's discuss special symbols. The vertical line is used to show word stress. It is placed before the stressed syllables in a word. For example, contract is pronounced like this and contract like that. Word stress is explained in our article about phonetic transcription. R. R means that R is always pronounced in American English, but not in British English. For example, if we write the F-A-R is pronounced far, we mean that it is pronounced far in American English and far in British English. However, in Bray, R will be heard if R is followed by a vowel. For example, foregone is pronounced forgone in Bray, but far is pronounced far. E is usually pronounced like a short version of E, but sometimes, especially in an old-fashioned British accent, it can sound like E. Examples: very, create, previous, ability. A represent either a syllabic E or, less commonly, a syllabic is an which act as a vowel and form a syllable, as in leisure, uncle. Instead of a, sometimes dictionaries use a regular E, as in lead. An represent either a syllabic and or, less commonly, an. Syllabic an is an which act as a vowel and form a syllable, as in written, listen. Instead of an, some dictionaries use a regular an, as in written.
Types of phonetic transcription. There are two types of phonetic transcription we are going to explain to you: RP and GA. What is RP and GA? And this is the explanation of what received pronunciation and general American means. RP or BE British English. RP stands for received pronunciation, the traditional name for the standard British English accent. Received merely means accepted in good society, which shows the prescriptive social character of the original concept. Today, RP is used to refer to the pronunciation usually taught to foreigners. Unlike the other English accents, it is not associated with any one geographical area and can be heard spoken as a prestige accent throughout the British Isles. The second one is GA. GA or AA, American English or General American, described by Wells Ltd as the accent spoken by the majority of Americans, namely those who do not have a noticeable Eastern or Southern accent. Comparison. The difference between RP and GA in the system of vowels and consonants. Introduction. Generally speaking, the main defining feature of RP is the absence of post-vocalic R, which makes all non-rhotic or R-less, compared to GA accents which are predominantly rhotic or R-full. However, within each country, there are regionally marked accents, like the Scottish, the Irish, and some other provincial accents on the British Isles are rhotic. In the USA, the Southern, the Eastern, and the Afro-American types of English accents are non-rhotic. These distinctive features become social markers. Vowels. There are 20 vowels in the system of RP and 15 to 16 vowels in GA. Because R was not localized, GA lacks centering diphthongs. Ending in E, the retroflex vowels ear and ear, stressed and unstressed, are among those features that noticeably distinguish GA from RP. All vowels occurring before R with an A syllable are likely to become R-colored to some extent. For example, in RP, here is pronounced here, and in GA, here. In RP, here is pronounced here, and in GA, here. And in RP, pure is pronounced pure, and in GA, pure. American English, in most of its variants, lack the sort of rounded vowel O. It is replaced by a vowel A, which is similar to RP in vowel in father. For example, in RP, lock, and in GA, lock. Dog and duck. Stop and stop. The RP vowel O can also be replaced by a long vowel O. In RP, long. In GA, long. Forest, forest. Orange, orange. Sorry, sorry.
Comparison 1. In GA, R is retroflex pronounced with the tip of the tongue curled back. At least 3 degrees of retroflexion which affect the preceding vowel. And 2. The AM T in the intervocalic position is realized as a flap. The tip of the tongue beats against the teeth ridges once. Acoustically, it remains D and R. And 3. When T follow N, it is nearly omitted. Nasalization of the vowel is another feature caused by co-articulation with N. Comparison consonant 1. Apart from systemic differences, there are lexical items which are pronounced differently. And 2. The sound G in amine is generally omitted. And 3. In GA, the sound I is dark, non-palatalized in all positions, while in RP it is clear before a front vowel and dark at the end of a word and before a consonant. Summary of this material. Should we care about phonetic transcription? Nowadays, nearly all good English dictionaries have audio recording. If you can listen to any English word as it is pronounced by a native speaker, why should we care about phonetic transcription? Here are a few reasons. If you want to have a good English pronunciation, you have to learn and practice all the English sounds anyway. If you are going to learn each sound in the English sound chart, you might as well learn its symbol. It doesn't take that much extra effort. It doesn't even have to be a special project for you. All you have to do is pay attention to the phonetic transcription.
So finally, since we have already reached at the end of this material, if you guys have any comments or questions, we would also like to hear it. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.